Well, all right, all right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Hot Seat Automotive Podcast. Your buddy CJ here. We're talking about all things automotive industry, car guy stuff, all the things that automotive enthusiasts love talking about. Cars, cars, cars. This is the place to be for real gearhead talk. Real gearhead talk. Guys, welcome everybody. All my subscribers, I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. Any guests, please give me a like and subscribe. If you're first time to the channel, we talk about car guy stuff and the automotive enthusiast hobby. Guys, let's get right into this. Let's get right into this tonight. What are we talking about here, guys? Tonight, I wanted to talk to my friends on the Hot Seat Automotive podcast about this, the BMW i8. Guys, what about the BMW i8? First things first, let's talk about some facts. Plug-in hybrid, okay? I claim the BMW i8 is a concept car you can actually own and drive. I mean, look at this thing. If this doesn't look like the car of the future in any era, I don't know what does. Look at those butterfly doors. Look at the body lines. Look at the cladding and the effects. Look at the contours, the molding of the body. Look at the wheels, everything, the way it sits, front to back, aesthetically, the design on this thing. You know, maybe it's not beautiful to everybody. There are those who don't find this aesthetically pleasing. I do. I think it's a heck of a design. Really striking. I will say that. Regardless whether you love or hate this design, you have to acknowledge that it is striking, and it certainly evokes a response from anyone who sees this vehicle and certainly gets a lot of attention. But a couple of the facts on this plug-in hybrid, as I mentioned, hit the streets as a 2014 model year, although the development of this car actually stretched several years before that. No surprise there, perhaps. But, you know, there was an initial concept that was kind of released and went on display around 2009. Did you know that originally the BMW i8 was going to have a 3-cylinder turbo diesel engine? Instead, it ended up with that 3-cylinder internal combustion engine, gas, turbocharged. You know, for what it was, that engine had pretty good output. Okay, they got a lot out of that little 3-cylinder. But I think what we're going to end up talking about tonight is the role that 3-cylinder played in maybe turning off a lot of potential buyers of this car. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. A couple of other numbers. About 369 horsepower. About a third of that came from the electric motor. And then the other third came from that 3-cylinder internal combustion engine. This vehicle, a lot of high-tech construction. You've got the use of carbon fiber with plastics and aluminum. High-tech, highly complex, automated manufacturing processes. A lot of engineering and innovation went into this car. You know, we're talking about a car with somewhere in the order of 50-50 weight distribution. Performance was okay. You know, let's put the skunk on the table. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The BMW i8 may have some of the look and tropes of a supercar, but this is not a supercar. This is not a super high-performance sports car. This is a plug-in hybrid sports car, and I claim a bit of almost a demonstrator, if you will, or a concept that went into production to demonstrate all of these really cool, innovative technologies, but it certainly didn't set any records from a high-performance standpoint. And at the price point this car was introduced at, and throughout its life cycle, you know, you're looking at a car that was somewhere around $150K to $170K plus or minus, depending on the year, depending on the options, whether you went for the coupe or the roadster. This was not a cheap car. This was a very expensive car, okay, which put it in the same bracket as a lot of cars with some super high performance. So while this had the striking looks and the design and the butterfly doors, what do they call them? Billionaire doors? From a performance standpoint, this car never exceeded expectations. Now, I'm going to tell you about my driving experience with the i8 in just a couple of minutes, and it might surprise you. Real talk tonight. You know your buddy CJ always gives it to you straight. I am a fan of the i8. I'll give you that teaser. I am a fan of the i8, but I'll tell you some things also that I think were kind of fatal flaws with the design and with the car itself. Guys, let's go ahead. And on Hot Seat Automotive Podcast, we love looking at these things together. Guys, please give me a like and subscribe. Leave me your comments on the BMW i8. Tell me what you think about this car. But let's take a look at the Roadster version of the BMW i8. This came out a bit later in the run. Again, we're talking about a 2014 through 2020 run of these cars. They sold about 20,000. And was it a success? Was the BMW i8 a success? I think one way to measure that, two ways perhaps. One, they stopped making it. Okay, so that's one indicator that maybe not such a success. The other indicator is that thus far there's been no replacement that's come into production for the BMW i8. I think there's been some teasers. Leave me comments if you know something about what might be coming after this to replace it. But the BMW i8 kind of came and went. And as part of that run, they did offer this Roadster, this open air, this automated hardtop convertible. Kind of cool, right? That retractable roof. I think the styling, those pods on the back are really cool. Now a couple things that your buddy CJ noted when I drove one of these. First things first, I really enjoyed driving the BMW i8. Truth be told, I didn't drive it a lot. It was a bit of a test drive, somewhat of an extended test drive. First thing I noted was that the performance was good. It didn't blow my mind, but with that all-wheel drive, with the instant torque of the electric motor, the electric drive, coupled with, that internal combustion engine, the thing took off okay. I think it's sub 5 seconds, 0 to 60. But again, for a car that looks like that at that price point, I think we expect more. Okay. Just a side note, I wasn't put off by that. Two, the sounds it makes. That's another issue for a lot of people. I think, it's got that artificial electronic noise. You can have engine noise right in the cockpit there with you, but it's not really engine noise, okay? It's produced by electronics, okay? And, the engine itself as a turbo 3-cylinder doesn't sound great, okay? But I got to tell you, when I was driving this thing, it kind of reminded me of like the Jetsons. Who remembers the Jetsons? Vintage cartoon, futuristic vintage cartoon from years ago. The sound that their vehicles made, kind of zipping around. That's what the i8 reminded me of, which I thought was kind of cool. Again, I don't put it up there on par with a legit throaty V8 or even a twin turbo V6 or certainly a V10 or V12. Of course not. But that artificial noise, was almost like driving a video game. I don't know. It's a high-tech car. It's not meant to be a supercar. It's not a muscle car. So the way I look at it is you embrace it. You embrace the high-tech with a car like this. That's why you buy a car like this. I thought the handling was good. I thought the different modes were interesting. A lot of people, aren't pleased with the interior because the interior wasn't special enough. I thought it was understated, and I thought the interior was fine. That didn't bother me at all. The driving experience for me was good. The car also has heads-up display. The one thing I'll say, getting in and out of this, even I think for a young person or an extremely fit person, could be challenging. There are very wide sills on this car. So, with those butterfly doors, you kind of got to angle into the car and you got to get over that sill. It's not easy to get in and out of one of these. If you're going to daily one of these or drive it a lot, or, for any ladies potentially wearing skirts or what have you, may not be the perfect vehicle for a lot of reasons, but something to consider. Top speed somewhere on the order of 155 miles per hour. So, if you look at it, this car was, what is this car? It's a modern hybrid, okay, high-tech car, and range was big. Range over high performance was the focus. That EV mode, that hybrid mode, getting as much as you can from a range standpoint and really the economy of the vehicle. So when you look at the tires, it's got fairly skinny, narrow tires. And, again, that certainly doesn't help the aesthetics of the car, but that was a part of what enabled this car to get the mileage that it got. Okay. But didn't lend itself well to, let's say, adding 300 horsepower to this car and then it really being something else that it isn't, which is high performance. Not what it is. Again, a plug-in hybrid sports car with some of the aesthetics and appearance of a supercar. But don't get it twisted. This is not a supercar. And I think that's one of the things that potentially turns some people off to the BMW i8. A couple of other things. Let's talk about a couple of the elephants in the room, if you will. Real talk tonight. These things depreciated heavily. We're talking about, let's say, a $150,000 car. Yeah, in some cases, these things were losing like half of their value after year one. They've flattened out a bit, but for example, if you look at these cars, they're out there for upper 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. I think the big unknown with this is all of the high tech, that the EV component, the hybrid drivetrain, the cells. How's all that going to hold up as these cars age 5, 10, 15, 20 years? We don't know. And I think as these cars come out of warranty, forget about it. I think they will continue to depreciate to a point. But, it's always going to be a question mark. Like, you're going to buy that i8 with all that high tech and it's out of warranty. Is there anybody around who even knows how to work on these things? They only made 20,000. Now, when you compare that with mass-produced BMWs or Toyotas or Fords, where they're making, hundreds of thousands or tens and tens and tens of thousands of a certain model every year, there's sort of a foundational understanding of how to work on, maintain, service these cars, parts availability. What about the i8? And if you're going to buy something like this, presumably to drive it and enjoy it, it's a concern. So I think all of those things contribute to the depreciation and the desirability of these cars. A couple other things, fatal flaws, that i3 engine, what's known as the B38, excuse me. It's known as the B38 BMW engine platform, that 3-cylinder turbo. It's used in other cars, including the Mini. I mean, listen, we're talking about a hybrid, almost a halo car, a very expensive car for BMW in their lineup at the time, and it's using a 3-cylinder turbo. And you might say, well, CJ, wait a minute, it's a hybrid and it's all these things. Yes, I get that, but you're kind of proving my point, which is that for the automotive enthusiast, for the hardcore BMW automotive enthusiast, someone who's into performance and is used to getting their M3, their M4, that will just smoke this car, especially with, minor bolt-ons and tunes and that type of thing. This history of high performance, class-leading performance, performance value, dare I say, and whether it's Mercedes, whether it's Audi, whether it's BMW, you then look at the i8 at that price point. If you were in the market for a sports car and you wanted something different, yeah, you look at the i8, but then I say, how much M3, M4 could I get? Could I get an M5? And then I don't have to worry about this EV drivetrain. And this thing just makes wonderful noises and does all kinds of other things. And it has back seats. So I think, having that 3-cylinder, if this car, I'll be blunt, even with the 3-cylinder and the electric drivetrain, if they could have gotten this thing to up through somewhere in 400, 450, 500 horsepower, I think from an automotive enthusiast, from a performance enthusiast standpoint, you would have attracted more buyers. Let me know what you guys think. But I do think that, well, it's, 350, 370, 360 horsepower all in. Nobody was wowed by that by the time this car came out in 2014. Like, Camrys are doing 300 horsepower. So I think that, and again, perception is an issue with automotive enthusiasts, with gearheads. I mean, sometimes I think we get caught up in those things, don't we? I've been guilty of it. But I think when you're talking about a $150,000 plus car that looks like this, I want some serious performance out of it. And unless you embrace the fact that economy and innovation around hybrid and electric drivetrains, coupled with a very small displacement turbo 3-cylinder engine, if you embraced and loved those things, then you can accept it. And again, it wasn't a bad car to drive. It was actually pleasant to drive. I enjoyed my driving experience with the i8. Not enough to buy one, though. I did not buy one. I came close. I seriously thought about it. But then I said, I don't think this is the car for me right now. I also think that to some extent, the i8 suffered its fate because it was probably 5 to 10 years too early. Guys, leave me comments. Let me know what you think. I claim the BMW i8, if something like this was released now, I think it would do better. What do you guys think? I think we are more conditioned as automotive consumers and enthusiasts and open to the idea of EVs and hybrids than we were 10 years ago. This car came out in 2014. It's 2024, which means development of this car started long before that, right? And I do think BMW was on the bleeding edge with so many things and so innovative and so ahead of the curve, but they suffered from that. It was a victim of its own innovation. It was a victim of its own success in many ways. Think about it. Successfully bringing something like this to market, which is just wild, a concept car, a prototype from the future that you could buy and have in your garage. But the market probably wasn't quite ready for it. And we were conditioned at the time, all the things I just mentioned. Hey, if I'm going to spend 150, 180K, I want Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren performance. This car did not have it. It looked like something that had super performance, but it didn't have it. So I think it was a unique cat who bought one of these. This car was almost fashion, wasn't it? This car was a bit of a fashion statement. This car was a bit of a pose. But if you can get beyond that, beyond the aesthetics, which I thought were really cool, there's actually a lot to like here. The driving experience was unique. It's not driving a muscle car. It's not driving a hypercar or a supercar. It's driving a hybrid, plug-in hybrid sports car with a heck of a lot of innovation geared toward economy and efficiency, not high performance. So if that would scratch all those itches for you, if you were into all that at this time, you bought an i8. But I think for all the reasons I mentioned, this car was a victim of itself in many ways, and perhaps a little too far ahead of the curve and ahead of its time. But anyway, guys, BMW i8, gone but not forgotten. What do you guys think about the BMW i8? Would you? Be honest with me. Leave me comments. Would you buy a BMW i8? What do you guys think? Leave me comments, guys. I love you. I love all of my subscribers. Everybody who stopped by, check out the channel, fellow gearheads, car guys, car girls. This is what we love doing, talking about cars and the automotive industry. I'd love to have you guys come back and join me on future episodes. Until then, be well and peace.